Okay, so let's get to what I wanted to talk about today, and it is so very timely. I've had this sort of in my queue. I have a folder on my phone of things that I want to talk about, or quotes that I see and that kind of thing. So this is one of them, and it's so very timely because I am going through this myself, and I will tell you what happened yesterday that really made me land on this today. So it says, if you're going to spend time worrying about the worst case scenario, it's only fair to spend time considering the best case scenario and also the most likely scenario. Tomato, tomato. All right, let me say that again. I'll say it quicker this time. If you're going to spend time worrying about the worst case scenario. See, I said it different this time. Scenario. If you're going to spend time worrying about the worst case scenario, it's only fair to spend time considering the best case scenario and also the most likely scenario. And I have spent a lot of time, and I will fall back to that because this pattern that I have, because it's just how your brain works, right? But I'm a warrior. I worry about everything. Worst case scenario. How do we plan for it? How do we, I'm a planner and a fixer, and so I worry about everything. It has taken a lot of my time, and luckily, I have a great coach. Listen, I think everybody should have a coach, a therapist, something. So if you don't have one, come talk to me, or I'll help you find one if you don't want to be one-on-one with me. But I have a great coach. I also had lunch yesterday with a coworker who knows me well enough to know how I get into my head and how I can focus on the worst case scenario. And she has consistently, over the last almost year now, with dealing with an issue at work, tried to be that life vest for me when it comes to getting out of my worst case scenario and looking at things differently, right? So it's this quote: if you're going to spend time worrying about the worst case scenario, it's only fair to spend time considering the best case scenario and also the most likely scenario. Was so timely because we can spend our energy. Okay, so let me back up. If I truly believe that what I put out comes back to me, right, and it's the ripple effect, I have got to think about putting the worst case scenario and that energy out there. I also need to think about putting the best case scenario out there as well. And I need to focus on the best and or the reality of it. Like, we can reach for the stars, right? And hope for the stars. And that's great. But sometimes that may be a little overshooting things sometimes, right? So bring it back to reality a little bit. What, best case scenario, we all get 50% raises, right? Reality is we may get a 2% raise, right? Worst case scenario, we're never going to get a raise again. So give yourself, if you want to do the worst case, fine. If you want to plan, if you want to work it out, whatever, but be fair to yourself, be fair to your energy, be fair to your emotions, be fair to your brain. And think about the best case and the reality of it. The reality scenario. What is the reality of it? Right? Are you in my head? I also worry about everything. Yeah, I think a lot of us who are empaths and who are fixers and healers and teachers and helpers, we worry about so much stuff. It's truly a new exercise for some, and my coworker has been doing this for me for a long time, but I've only really acknowledged it and really have paid a lot of attention to it over the last 6 months as I'm trying to heal, as I'm trying to work through this as well, trying to balance my worry brain and my how to fix it brain and best case scenario and what's the reality of it, right? Because how many times, I call them mirror conversations. How many times have we known we're going to a meeting or we're going to meet up with somebody, or you're going to see a family member and you go, well, they're going to say this, and when they say this, I'm going to say that, and they're not going to da, 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 and I'm going to, and you have this whole conversation in your head with that we know 9 times out of 10, usually 9.9 times out of 10, will never happen, right? How much time have I spent worrying about the worst case scenario when that's not really the reality? That's not really the reality of it, right? So at the very least, hit the reality part. But if you're going to spend time worrying about the worst case, think about the best case, and then bring it on down a notch and bring it back to the middle, right? Bring it back to the middle to where it's it's mostly the reality of it, right? Oh, goodness. I just went on a soapbox. How do y'all feel about that? Yay, nay. Hey, Leah. Hey, Susan. Hey, Chrissy. I'm sorry I didn't say hello to you when you popped on. Hello. I just started and just kept going. But think about that. Think about how we do spend a whole lot of time thinking about the worst case. And let's start thinking about, okay, well, I've time it. This is one of the things I did ask my coworker to do for me and hold me accountable for this semester when classes start. When I come in and I'm on a rant, we need to get it out. I don't want anybody to hold any emotions in, right? I mean, you do it respectfully, but I don't want anybody to hold that in because that's not healthy either. But I said, okay, when I'm truly at that point where I need to rant, set a timer. 5 minutes. That's all I get. That's all I get. I get 5 minutes to rant about it. I need to get as much out as possible. And after 5 minutes, it stops. It's got to stop because life is too short. And I try to be a problem solver. I try to be a fixer. I try to come with a solution. And me ranting about it and bitching about it is not going to help the situation, right? So 5 minutes, let me rant, let me get it out of my system, and then let's fix it. Or let's try to fix it. Or let's think about another scenario or a different perspective. And I've asked her to please hold me accountable for that this semester, because I think it's really going to be helpful for, yes, I'm getting it out. Yes, getting it out of my system. But also, we got to move on. We got too many good things going on in life to constantly be on that track. Okay, so I love this. I pulled a card for us from our Mindful Messages deck. I love this deck, and I know you can't see it, but I will show it to you just so you have it. It says, get focused. Get focused. And it says, to attract what I want, first I get clear on what it is I desire. Step 1. I envision it for a minute or more every single day, feeling how it would feel to have this in my life. What would I do, how I'd react, and who I'd tell. Picture it all. Through my continual alignment with my desires, they begin to flow into my physical reality in divine timing. Isn't that just perfect? Get focused. What do you want? And stop focusing on the negative. Stop focusing on what can't happen or won't happen or may not happen. Focus on what you want to happen. Right? Who knows? Put that out there. Put that in the atmosphere. Even my husband, my non-woo-woo husband says, don't put that out in the atmosphere. Why are you putting that out in the atmosphere? I was like, who are you? Where's my husband? So I'm rubbing off on him. Don't tell him. But put the good stuff out there too. And I get life is, sometimes we just need to get it out. Sometimes we just need to get it out. And I get that. And I want you to get it out. But I also don't want you to sit there. Don't sit in the suck. Don't sit in the suck. Don't sit in the negative. Don't sit in the constant complain. That usually doesn't align with people. It doesn't align with me. It does not align with me. Teresa says timed rant. Yes. I'm going to have timed rant. Timed rant. Absolutely. I thought it was a good idea because, hey, you get it out of your system, and it's out there, and you just move on. So I hope it works out. I'll let y'all know.